Wait. Don't leave. It's been many a year since I've had a visitor. Allow me to tell you a tale. A most awful tale. Imagine for a moment, if you dare, that you are in another place. A most sinister place. A place many of you may know. That place is known as 30 Rockefeller Center, home of SNL. Many atrocities have been committed in these halls. Many children have entered but left never the same again after what they have witnessed, after what cruelties have been done upon them. When you are a child roaming the halls of 30 Rock, keep your wits about you, for you never know what lurks behind each corner. Perhaps it will be the Jewish creature they call Lorne Michaels, waddling his way towards you, his sagging, wrinkled skin swaying as he reaches out his decrepit hand towards your young, beautiful hair and says, "I'm gonna make you the next Lornette." You shriek and run into a dark room, slamming the door behind you. But what lurks behind that door? A black, schizophrenic, drug-addicted comic with a taste for young blood. The cackling demon of the hack comedy. Or worst of all, the unknown, forgotten, unloved slug of a man, Horatio Sanz. He grabs you. You try to fight, but he has you tight in his grip, caressing your body as he moves lower and lower. You tell him to stop. You scream out for help, but receive nothing in return but the shrewd laugh of the wench Tina Fey. With nowhere to turn, nowhere to run, you resign your body to this unholy communion, this pedophilic black Sabbath of creatures known as SNL cast members and executives. Truly a frightening work of fiction, I know, but that is where you would be wrong, for this is no fiction. I have seen it with mine own eyes. So on this dark and stormy Halloween night, I would like to tell you a story known as We begin this story with a quote from Tracy Morgan describing the Saturday Night Live after parties. They put a stage in it. They put a few futons all around. And they'd get strippers and girls to come and do shows. You'd walk in there and get your dick sucked. There was usually some fucking going on. And there was liquor and couches everywhere. Now at this time, SNL occupied an iconic place in America's television history. Since its creation in 1975, millions of viewers have tuned in to watch SNL each week. Millions. It's just because NBC is just always on at every nursing home throughout the entire country. So they're like, oh damn, we got viewers. It's just a bunch of like geriatrics sitting there like, who is this? That's not Rodney Dangerfield. The show has transformed dozens of comedians to A-list celebrities and household names. Historically, it has been considered the holy grail of opportunities for aspiring and established comedians alike. Central to the SNL cast and culture are its world-famous after-parties and after-parties, to which SNL transports its guests in limousines from its offices at Rockefeller Center. These parties are the stuff of legends. They are major career networking opportunities with the rich and powerful SNL luminaries. Early in the 2000s, the transcendent stars of SNL were famous cast members like Tina Fey, Rachel Dratch, Who? Tracy Morgan, Will Ferrell, Maya Rudolph, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, and Anna Gasteyer. Whoever that bitch is. It was well known among the SNL crowd, including Lorne Michaels, its creator, showrunner, and producer, that teenage girls were regularly invited to these parties, served alcohol, along with the celebrities. Cheeky, one such girl was Jane Doe. In 2000 to 2002, from age 15 to 17, Jane was a fixture at SNL. She attended the show or after parties on no fewer than 17 separate evenings. Quite the fan, including over 20 SNL parties, where she and her teenage friends socialized with SNL, cast, and executives alike. In 2002, Tracy Morgan hosted a notorious after party, where he hired sex workers. However, another unwitting part of the entertainment was 17-year-old Jane. At this party, cast member Horatio Sanz groped Jane's breasts and buttocks and rubbed her vagina in full view of party onlookers, continuing the assault as she implored him to stop. Jane not only felt sexually humiliated and degraded, but her lifelong career aspirations of working at SNL ground to a halt as the entire SNL cast watched, and her idols Tina Fey and Rachel Dratch laughed at her. This is pretty funny that it mentions the after party, because if I remember, Tina Fey in her show about how retarded black mentally ill drug addicts are, wrote an episode about Tracy Jordan throwing an after party and an after party, and that was the whole gimmick. So I think viewing it now will be a lot more entertaining, knowing that it was based on a night where she watched a 15-year-old girl get and laughed. That makes for good television. Sanz groomed, abused, and molested Jane on numerous occasions. He cyber-chatted with her throughout her teenage years, discussing her performing oral sex on men, instructing her how to touch her pussy and nipples, and playing out various fantasy scenarios in which Jane degraded herself for Sanz's sexual gratification. Jane suffered lifelong trauma as a result of Sanz's sexual abuse, and all of those at NBC who enabled and condoned it. It was profoundly dehumanizing as her hero stood and laughed at her while her teenage body was violated. She felt like she would never be the same. Her mental health and professional aspirations were entirely derailed. On the topic of Lorne Michaels, the head honcho of SNL, Michaels is known for controlling every detail on the show. He has complete power and authority over it, which he wields singularly. Over the years, Michael has famously surrounded himself with a bevy of young, blonde, conventionally attractive female assistants, widely known as the Lornettes. In 1991, he married his third wife, a Lornette, 18 years his junior. Michaels and SNL have a storied history of minimizing, degrading, and or burying sexual assault allegations. In 1995, cast member Chris Farley was accused of groping an extra on the show. Part of the well-known habit he had of sexually harassing women. Unlike many sexual assaults, this was no he said, she said incident. Rather, Farley's behavior was widely known and simply excused. Jim Downey, a longtime SNL writer, approvingly described another incident in which Farley actually physically picked up an unsuspecting waitress, carried her downstairs, and forced her into a cab. Downey said Chris liked to do that. Do big put-ons with strangers who didn't know who he was. Farley suffered no repercussions. He thought it was funny. When asked about the allegations, he simply shrugged and said, "Daddy was a naughty man." Chris Farley. Around this same time that Jane Doe was partying, Tina Fey, an SNL writer since 1997, became the first female head writer of SNL. She also joined the cast and joined Weekend Update with Jimmy Fallon as co-anchor. Fan favorite Weekend Update. Who doesn't love Michael Che and his hilarious jokes? Michael Che looks like an AI-generated generic white person. Looks like you told like Bing AI to like turn a loaf of Wonder Bread into a man. He looks like date raping is his favorite sport. That and lacrosse. From 1999 to 2003, Scott Sassa was the president of NBC's West Coast division. He made regular visits to New York City. Similar to Michael's Lornettes, Sassa was accompanied on his visits by a group of young women referred to as Scott Sassa's Pussy Posse. These are the people Lorne Michaels hires, surrounds himself with, defends, admires their comedic ability. But at what price? At what price? On November 17th, 2001, 16-year-old Jane attended another SNL taping with two teenage friends. This time, Sanz put her on his own guest list. As Sanz guest, Jane had access to the roped-off VIP area, where she spent much of the night sitting at a table with Fallon, Fallon's manager, and two fashion designers, drinking alcohol and sharing calamari with Fallon. Fallon asked Jane for her phone number, but she didn't have a pen. He also told her that he had met a girl on Jane's website message board. The group discussed that Jane was a high school student and was studying for the SAT exam. Fallon commented at one point, "So you have a few years before graduate." The others seated became very quiet for a moment when Jane mentioned that she was a junior in high school, but quickly moved on. Neither Michaels nor the others at his table had a pen, so Jane wrote her number for Fallon using her sparkly lip gloss on a napkin. I mean, if that isn't like, if that doesn't prove that she's a 16-year-old girl. Sparkly lip gloss. On December 8th, 2001, Jane attended a taping with two of her teenage friends. At one after-party, when Jane entered the bar, Kevin Dorff, a writer for the NBC show Late Night with Conan O'Brien, yelled out, "She's so underage!" By this point, virtually everyone at NBC knew who Jane was, since she was a regular presence at the after-parties, in particular with Sanz. On January 19th, 2002, Jane and her friends returned to NYC for another taping and attended the after-party. Jane had been warned by many to stay away from Jeff Richards, who was a regular presence at the SNL parties. However, one of her friends was made an unlucky target. Richards grabbed her buttocks without her consent in full view of other party attendees. Richards later sexually assaulted another one of Jane's friends in an elevator, in an incident the friend described as something between a sexual assault and an attempted rape, while an NBC limousine driver waited outside. When Sanz heard that the friend was telling other partygoers about the assault, he instructed her to keep quiet about it. After these events, Jane began to feel depressed. She began to become mentally ill. Her life ruined, her innocence taken, her career aspirations derailed, destroyed. She had nothing. Yet she did not realize what was wrong. It wasn't until years later she came forward and told of these atrocities, of these cruelties that had been done to her, And upon hearing those stories, many other women came forward to describe how they were assaulted and how there were instances of attempted rape on them. About how NBC cultivated an environment in which young girls were systematically sexually exploited, harassed, and assaulted, all for the sick enjoyment of its celebrity stars. Yet sitting here today, neither Fallon, nor Sanz, nor Michaels, nor Morgan, nor anyone else at NBC has suffered a single consequence for their actions, for their crimes. And that is the end of this story. So remember, next time you are watching Saturday Night Live in the nursing home, wherever you are, I don't know where they still watch that show really, but wherever it's playing in the background somewhere, and you chuckle at a joke, or you get excited because you see Shane Gillis is hosting this week, or whenever Dear Sister pops up in your YouTube recommended, or you piss your pants laughing because Will Ferrell said cowbell for the 10th time, remember, behind the scenes something sinister lies there. Something we cannot see but we can sense. Something the creature known as Lord Michaels has created. Happy Halloween. And remember, folks, always abide by these NBC principles. Never say retard on air. If you're a white guy and you say nigga, we're going to ruin your entire life. Once the cameras are off, though, you can rape as many girls as you like. It's NBC. We're not prudes. Damn, is that Ice Spice?